Thanks for your support as a channel member, Jermat7046. A few months ago I started a return to glory save with Williams on F1 Manager 24, but using the wind tunnel and CFD is banned. We'd got halfway through the season and found ourselves too quick for the teams behind us and too slow for the teams ahead. So far our best result is an unexpected third place at a wet Canadian Grand Prix, which we simulated. In this video I'm going to tell you how we ended Season 1 and how we got on in Season 2. In the second year there are a couple of things to consider. Number 1, the big rules shake-up coming for 2026, and number 2, both our drivers Alex Albon and Ollie Bearman are out of contract. We resume the season with Albon 10th in the standings and Bearman yet to score. The team is a comfortable 6th in the Constructors' Championship. As a result, I decided to simulate the remaining 8 races of the 2024 season. In Baku, we picked up another point with Albon as Bearman finished 11th. Carlos Sainz won for Ferrari ahead of championship leader Lando Norris, moving the Spaniard to 2nd. But Norris took victory in Singapore ahead of the Ferraris as Albon moved up 4 places to finish in 9th. Bearman, however, fell from 11th to 13th. We didn't score in Austin, but in a wet Mexico race, Albon pulled off yet more heroics, finishing in 2nd place. Sadly, Bearman didn't make the finish at that Grand Prix. We then went scoreless in Brazil, Las Vegas and Qatar before Albon scooped 9th place at the season finale in Abu Dhabi. It meant the Thai driver finished the season 11th in the championship with all of our 61 points, which led the team to finishing 6th in the Constructors, a decent first season I would say. Bearman finished 19th as he and Zhou were the only drivers not to score a point. On to Season 2 then, and here are all the driver lineups. We've retained our pairing as Sainz has joined Red Bull, Antonelli takes the Mercedes seat and Hamilton moves to Ferrari. Ahead of the season starting, I went ahead and boosted our factory and design centre facilities to help us on our journey. We brought almost half a new car to Australia as we upgraded the chassis, underfloor and side pods for round 1. And it helped Alex qualify 6th for the opening round of the season. Ollie was 14th after a wet qualifying session. Despite our high grid position, our race pace was horrendous and Alex tumbled out of the points. It meant we finished 16th as Lando Norris won the opening round of the season. Bearman came home 18th. We left Melbourne bottom of the Constructors' table and with a lot of work to do, but more upgrades are on the way. Between Melbourne and China we had a major announcement to make. As both Alex and Ollie are out of contract at the end of the season, I'd been driver shopping. I approached George Russell ahead of his Mercedes deal ending, and the British driver agreed to return to Williams and spearhead our charge to the front. It means the fight is on between Alex and Ollie to stay with the team next season. We collected our first points of the season in the China sprint as Alex moved from 11th to 7th, although he was as high as 5th at 1 point. The Thai driver brought home another point in the Grand Prix, which was won by Charles Leclerc, moving the team up to 6th in the Constructors' table. Albon collected further points in Japan, finishing 9th, closing us to 3 points behind Aston Martin, and Bearman, who is now rated 80, was 13th, gaining 4 positions. For Bahrain we brought new front and rear wings and I chose to deploy the low fuel one-stop strategy. Bearman outqualified Albon, but it was the more experienced driver who brought home the points. Albon finished 8th as Bearman, despite rising to 7th early on, finished where he'd started. We gained a point on Aston Martin and are now just 2 points behind the Silverstone team. Albon continued our point streak in Jeddah, rising from 15th to 7th, taking us ahead of Aston Martin thanks to that result. Bearman had qualified in 8th, but he fell to 14th by the checkered flag. But he did finally get his first F1 points with Williams in the Miami sprint, finishing in 8th. But that was our only point of the weekend as Aston Martin gobbled up 12 and pulled ahead of us in the championship fight. We had a crazy race in Imola as many of the leading contenders took themselves out of contention. Verstappen crashed, Leclerc hit Ocon, and Russell took out himself and Lando Norris. It gave Alex the chance to pass both Leclerc and Piastri to grab an unlikely podium as Hamilton won for Ferrari. And Ollie made it our first double points finish of the save, collecting 8th place. With Aston Martin scoring no points, we leapt ahead of them for 5th in the Constructors once again. We scored points in 3 of the next 4 rounds, with 9th in Monaco, 8th in Spain, and then we bagged double points with 5th and 8th in Austria. We finished 11th in Canada. And despite Fernando Alonso finishing on the podium in Austria, we just about clung on to fifth in the Constructors, a point ahead of Aston Martin as we all headed to Silverstone for the team's home Grand Prix. Alex did score 8th place for us in our home race, narrowly missing out on 7th against Antonelli. But Aston Martin double scored and that took them back above us in the championship. Behrman started and finished in 14th. Halfway through the season then, and Albon is 8th in the Drivers' Championship with Ollie 14th on 9 points. Oscar Piastri is well on his way to winning the World Championship at the head of the table. And with the battle against Aston Martin being so close, it was difficult to know how much to shift focus onto the 2026 regulation change. I decided to let the next 2 races inform my choice. If we're behind at the summer break, we're all in on 2026. And in a classically wet Spa weekend, we didn't score in the sprint, but Albon did manage to scoop 8th in the Grand Prix. But Ocon was 6th for Aston Martin, increasing their lead over us. And a further double score in Hungary for the Green team made my decision very easy. We're 22 points behind as we head on our summer holidays, so all our focus is now on next season. However, Mercedes decided to disturb my summer holiday by approaching both Ollie and Alex with contracts. Forced to act and make a choice, I offered a new deal to Ollie Behrman. I thought that Albon's performances warranted him getting another shot with a top team. Behrman would go on to accept our offer and remain with the team. With our focus onto next season, we struggled hugely after the summer break, scoring no points in the Netherlands, Monza or Baku. We also failed to score in Singapore as well, but we did get this funky glitch with Charles Leclerc after he banged into Lando Norris, after the McLaren driver had destroyed Hamilton's Ferrari. Albon finished 9th in the Texas sprint, missing out on points once again, but we did bag double points in the Grand Prix. The departing Alex was 6th and Ollie was in 10th. Albon followed that up with another 10th place in Mexico and 9th place in Brazil. McLaren secured the Constructors' Championship in Las Vegas as Lando Norris led a 1-2 finish. Albon picked up a further point for us in 10th. We rounded out the season with 10th in Qatar and 9th in Abu Dhabi as Oscar Piastri became the world champion. We finished the campaign 6th in the Constructors' Championship, 70 points behind Aston Martin in the end, and 10 ahead of Haas, who had a strong end to the season. Albon finished on a very nice 69 points, equal with Bottas and Ocon, while Behrman finished on 10 points. So far in this save, we've achieved consecutive 6th place finishes in the Constructors' Championship, but we haven't looked like breaking into that leading group of teams. Perhaps that will change in the 2026 campaign. Subscribe and stay tuned to see how that goes for us. Next week we're taking over at Red Bull to see how Yuki Tsunoda will get on there now that he's finally been given a chance at the A team. Thanks for watching, you're the best fans, and remember, be fast or be last.